Hey there, I'm Rico Zook, and we're out here in Hampi, Karnataka, World Heritage Site, birthplace of Hanuman, people of the Boulder, beautiful Vijayanagar ruins. And this is in Karnataka, South India, near to southwest of Hyderabad. We're out on the outskirts of it in this little valley, and we're going to talk a little bit about zones 5 in particular, in the classic sense of permaculture 1 through 5. 5 is the wild. And we're going to take a look at this project here that I did about 10 years ago with the wetlands restoration. So the project we did here for the client was a private client who was way into wildlife, and this is for wildlife and creating habitat and diversity within what we would call Zone 5. Basically, it was a rice paddy, and we simply exposed the water that was just below it this much, and by hand digging with a couple crews, local crews. And basically we created the container in which Zone 5 could occur, shaping water and earthwork. The little side story is that the lilies there's near to this site, there's a Stone Age village up about an hour walk, and there's a big little pond there. A lot of permaculture is about bringing the environment back to health, your site back to vitality. And in that way, we're almost wanting to manifest this energy of Zone 5 in all the different zones. And often we have to create our Zone 5s or heal Zone 5s that might already be there. And that's sort of what this was. It was actually more of it was old paddy, and we did an excavation to reveal the water and other structural stuff to make this wetlands, which then created this whole wildlife and rebirth, because water is life. So Zone 5 and the importance of that in permaculture.
Hampi is located in a warm, semi-arid climate and receives around 600 millimeters or 24 inches of rain per year, falling primarily during the 5-month monsoon season. This site is part of a 500 square kilometer, or about 190 square mile wildlife sanctuary that's meant to protect critical habitat for a great many different species. One of the species that this sanctuary is meant to protect is the sloth bear. So because of a lack of water during the dry season, sloth bears that were living in these mountainous areas were needing to travel several kilometers down from the mountains to an irrigation canal in order to drink water. Around 5 times per year, there would be some sort of incident between the sloth bears coming down and the farmers that were farming these lowland areas here, because the farmers and the sloth bears were crossing paths. Sometimes a mother would be leading her cubs down to drink water from the canal and would be very protective, especially if a human wandered between the mother and her cubs. So since the establishment of these Zone 5 wetlands, there have been no more incidents between the bears and the villagers, because the bears are just coming to these ponds to drink instead of needing to traverse the farmlands. Since the installation of this wetland pond and 2 other wetland ponds within the same valley, the villagers who are farming down in the valley below have reported that the water level has actually risen in their bore wells. So infiltrating the water up above within this valley in the mountainous area has actually slowed the flow of water and built the subsurface water table and made that water accessible to people down below who actually rely on their bore wells for domestic water use as well as some irrigation. Identifying and leaving areas as Zone 5 is one really important design consideration, but strategically developing Zone 5 areas to provide ecosystem services is a whole other level. Amazingly, the recorded rainfall within the 500 square kilometer wildlife sanctuary, where a tropical scrub forest has grown up, has been higher than the surrounding areas in the last few years. where drought reduced the average rainfall in the adjacent cleared farming areas to around 250 millimeters or 10 inches per year, where they normally would receive around 600 millimeters or about 24 inches per year. The rain gauges within the forested refuge have actually maintained average annual rainfall at 600 millimeters or 24 inches. So the value of Zone 5 and establishing Zone 5 is beneficial both to the wildlife and the other members of the ecosystem, which will have habitat in that Zone 5 area, and also has positive repercussions to humans that are living within proximity to those Zone 5 areas, as we have seen here.